In this video, I'm going to talk about again IP addressing and also IP address subnetting, but from a different view, from a practical view. Okay, it's so useful after the scenarios we learned about them until now. We can talk about the, for example, subnet ID, subnet broadcast address, or subnet range of usable unicast IP address. Assume that you have one IP address. For example, in your working environment, you are receiving one IP address 170.21.149.57 with the subnet mask of 255.255.192.0. Okay, this is the IP address and subnet mask that you have. How you can find the subnet ID or the subnet that this IP address is residing in that subnet, the resident subnet, the name of the subnet that this IP address is residing, that subnet is resident subnet. Or how you can find the subnet broadcast address, how you can find the range of usable unicast IP address in that subnet. I'm sure that you can solve this scenario, you can solve this example, but let me to talk about the solutions that we have, the ways that we have to find these three important elements of one IP address. In future, you will see and you will experience that when we have one IP address, it's so important to find the subnet ID of that IP address, to find the broadcast address of that IP address, and also the usable range of IP addresses in that subnet. Because of that, it's important to use the best ways to finding these three important elements. Let me to talk about this IP address and also subnet mask with different methods. The first method is converting this IP address and subnet mask to binary, and with this conversion you know that we can find these three elements. Let me to show you here. I'm going first writing this IP address here. This is the IP address we have, the IP address. Okay, this is the IP address 170.21.149.57, and the subnet mask, you know that this is the for example subnet mask. Let me to write here 255.255.192.0. that's it. The requirement of this scenario is finding the subnet ID, broadcast, and usable range. Let me to convert these two IP address, these two, for example, decimal value to the binary value. It's so easy for us now because we did many examples, and also we talked how we can convert the decimal value to the binary value. Because of that, let me to use the first one instead. Now I'm going to convert 170 to the binary. We have 1 then 0, after that 128 plus 32 equal to 160. After that again 1 0, then 1 1 0 1 0. Look at here. Let me to calculate the result. 128 plus 32 equal to 160 plus 8 168, and plus 2 170. That's it. After that, we need to find the binary value of the 21 does not have 128, what does not have for example 64 or 32, but it has 16. Also, it does not have the for example 8, and here we have 1 4 and then 0 1. Let me to calculate 16 plus 4 equal to the 20 and then 21. That's it. After that, we need to convert 149. We need 128, 0 64, again 0 32, but 1 for 16. 128 plus 16 equals to 144. Then we don't have, for example, 8. We don't have here. Now we have 144. Because of that, we need 1401. Let me to calculate 128 plus 16 equal to 144, plus 4 148, and plus 1 149. Let me to convert the 57. In 57 we don't have 128, we don't have 64, we don't have for example, we have 32, and after that we have 16. 32 plus 16 equal to the 48. We have for example 148 plus 8 equal to 56, and then 0 0 1. Look at here, 32 plus with the 16 48, then 48 plus 8 56, and then 57. That's it. Now we converted the 57 to the binary. Also we need to convert the subnet mask. In subnet mask we have 2255. This is the first 255. All of the bits should be 1, and again another 1 bits, and after that 192 1 1, then 0 0 0 0 0 0, then again 8 0. This is the conversion of the decimal value to the binary value. Okay, now we can find the network part or subnet part of the IP address and also the host parts. You know that here we have 1 in the subnet mask, and this means that the equivalent bits or correlating bits in the IP address are the subnet bits or network bits. Let me to write here. Here we have 8 network bits. Okay, this is 8 network bits. As you can see, 3 6 8, again dot, again we have 8 network bits. After that again 2 network bit, and all other bits are the host bits. Okay, that's it. Okay, now how we can find the subnet ID or network address? We can say subnet ID, okay, or network address. Both of them are same. Network IDs, network address, subnet ID, all of them are same. You can use, instead of the host bits, 0 to find the subnet ID. Let me to write here. I can copy this part. This is the network part of the IP address. Okay, after that, instead of the for example host bits, we can use 0. Let me to use 60 here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 dot, again 80 80. That's it. Now we have the subnet ID. And for broadcast ID, okay, you know that for broadcast ID or broadcast address, both of them are same. We can use, instead of the host bits 1, okay, let me to copy again the network address. This is the network address. Okay, I'm going to find the broadcast ID or broadcast address. Both of them are same. We need to use 1 instead of the host bits. That's it. Now we can calculate these two values. The first value is here, we don't have any change. This is the 170, okay, dot. After that, as you can see here, we don't have any change. Because of that, we can say 170 21. And after that, here, look at here. First, let me to find the network address or subnet ID. It is equivalent to the 128. This is the 128. And after that, dot 0/18. Why? Because we have 18 bits of the network. This is the subnet ID or network address of this IP address. We will use the network address or subnet ID in future in the routing courses. After that, for broadcast address, we can calculate this value 117. Okay, 170. After that, again 21. We don't have a change here, and this is equivalent to the for example, you know that the total value is 255. 255 minus 64 equivalent to the 191.255/18. This is the broadcast address of this IP address. We can say this IP address is residing in these networks, okay? And because we have the network and also network ID and broadcast ID, we can find easily the usable host range. Let me to write here. This is the subnet ID or resident subnet ID. Subnet ID for this IP is 170, okay? 100, for example, 70.21.128.0/18. This is the subnet ID, okay? Let me to write here, and this is the broadcast address or broadcast ID, okay? 170 again, 21, 191, 255/18. Now we find the subnet ID and also the broadcast ID. If you want to find the IP addresses usable in this subnet. The first IP after the subnet ID is the first IP usable